please check that out if you have not. My name is Amelie, and I am the founder, host of Soulestic Intelligence and the Soulestic Intelligence podcast. I am pleased to bring you this transmission today. This is part 10 of my Digital Age series, where we're looking at the human and technology molding together in our new culture that I and many others have been calling the digital age. Some people have called it the information age because of the internet, but I think it's beyond that. I think we're in a digital age where there's a move to go from analog to digital, and I don't think many people are aware of the consequences of doing this switch. They're doing it without thinking about the impacts, and maybe there are some pain points where there's little screams from different groups of this is affecting me, this is affecting me, but we're not looking at it in a holistic way. So this is the holistic worldview of what is going on. Okay. So yesterday I was on part 9 and I kind of touched on social media influencers, early social media influencers, and then brand influencers. I was talking about brand and how when you sell your identity, you sell a little piece of yourself, almost like selling your soul over to these corporate giants. And thus, you might lose connection with yourself. So, I want to just give a brief overview of that, and then we're going to move into a little bit more of the AI algorithm as it is now starting to see a huge rise. And so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I have 2 hours that I need, that I have to finish this. So we'll see how far along I get. Okay. So in our influencer timeline, it started in 2007. Now, if everybody remembers, I was talking yesterday also, if you watched that stream, about in 2007, that is when the first cell phone, the first smartphone was issued and on the market. Steve Jobs famously, put that smartphone on the market, Gen 1, and everybody was so excited. Lots of people didn't adopt it until later. It took a little bit of time, but slowly and eventually there's now millions and millions of people who use smartphones. They use smartphones, and also they use, there's like different varieties of smartphones. So phase 1, these are the early YouTubers, the early bloggers, the Tumblrs, the Facebookers. These people were using that platform in this phase 1 of the social media or the social influencer sphere. And a big part of their power is relatability. They were relatable to their audiences. And so we talked a little bit about that yesterday. Catch that one if you want to learn a little bit more. Then we have the builders. I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. So this is about 2013 to 2016. And let's think about Instagram's prime. Instagram is rolling out. YouTube is expanded. I can't remember the date of when YouTube was bought out by Google. I believe it's Google. And so now you have that. Many of us may remember the Vines. So the Vine was another app where people were doing these short videos. And now we do that. We see that mimicked on things like Instagram and YouTube. And also you can see Reels and Shorts and whatever on other media platforms. It's very popular. In fact, this is where the scrolling comes in, because you're just looking at these really short reels, really short messages. Even Twitter kind of has that short messaging and has adopted video streaming to their I guess it's not Twitter anymore, it's X. So their essence is curation and aesthetic and niche markets, niche mastery. So you're looking at people developing their channels into just main things. Like if I was a niche, I would be in like emotional intelligence coaching or something like that. Hi, Katie. I don't know what to call you, Katie. Tifa? I don't know how to say it. But their archetype is like this priestess class or these builder classes. So they're building these audiences. They're taking a certain niche like fashion or makeup or storytelling, just little niches, and they're putting it on their feeds, and then people are following that. So a lot of people are coming on my feed because they're like, oh, this sounds really interesting. I'm relating to the information and I want to follow this person or subscribe. And so that's where you get followers and subscribers. So so before it wasn't even monetized, but now there's a little bit of authority and monetization that's going into it. YouTubers, as they're expanding, as they're in this new market with Google, that the more views they get, a certain amount of money or monetization comes with that. And or if they have ads and their ads are tied to their channels, then they're getting some sort of ad revenue from that. And so you see this builder expansion with the monetization that's going on as well. Oh, good. A lot of people don't get my name right either, and so I feel you. I feel you. Then we're going to move into the third phase of this social influencer expansion. So now we're looking at 20. So yesterday I kind of stopped around 2016 and then moved into branding. But today we're going to move into the brands plus the fracture of what is happening in the moment. So with the brands, it's from 2017 to 2020. And in this phase, Instagram algorithms start changing. The TikTok rise was really fascinating to see, especially in 2020. The TikTok rise, like it was a huge craze that took over. And then people were kind of experiencing a little YouTube burnout. They were just kind of done with it. But yesterday I also talked about how AI algorithms were also kind of being expanded from 2016. That's when it started, 2015, 2016. These AI data infrastructures were being implemented into this digital space. Knowingly or unknowingly to us, they were taking the data of your privacy or your public data from your use of these social media sites, and they were using that to compress it down. In fact, I don't know if you guys know of Donald Trump, but I clearly remember when the 2016 election was over, that Jared Kushner, who was on his staff as far as the campaign was concerned, was one of the critical people that used data, targeted data from social media platforms to see if they could locate where to raise funds, who to target that information to, targeting specific media. I mean, this is like a small team of 100 people working on this data collection and piercing through it and reading the trends and looking at what areas do we need to target, state by state. And like it was a whole expand. It was a really tiny article. I don't think very many people remember it, but I remember it because I was like, oh my gosh, he's essentially using not just AI, but data collection to win an underdog election in a landslide. Like it was so crazy. It was so crazy because I think that there's a little bit of control around it, but then like their targeting and the way that they did their marketing tactics was from using all of this data. And so you have that influencing all of these social media giants, or maybe not so much giants, but they're expanding the apps. They're expanding this, their own brands, and they're also like the social media is changing in this algorithmic state. So now the algorithms not just look at what are you scrolling, what are you liking, what are you engaging with, what are you looking at for 3 seconds, what are you looking at for 10 seconds, where is your finger? It can it can detect where your finger is if you're going to leave a website, if you're going to leave a page, it knows what you're going to do, and so there will be a pop-up that comes up and say, "Oh, I see that you're leaving the site. Do you want a 10% off?" And you can purchase whatever it is. So there's this influence there as well, and that's the AI influence. So the essence of this phase is influence is becoming an enterprise. So now we're becoming where there's a term called personal brand influencer or brand influencer. And now people are using these influential brands to kind of create this enterprise for themselves or a business. And what is going on here is they're using capital as this way to get people to engage in that. So that is the next phase. We have this branding. So let's talk about some of the people that are grab a cam for a Lamar, grab the cam for a Lamar edit. I don't know what that is. There. At me. Okay, so let's talk about some of the people. You're welcome. I don't know what's going to happen, but whatever, the audience. I don't even know if you're a real person, Trixie. Okay, so let's talk about the notable names. So who has not heard of Kylie Jenner? Kylie Jenner is this huge brand. She's $1 billion brand. Lamar Jackson edit. Okay, I'll look it up after I'm done. I don't have my son around to ask, Trixie. Okay, but we're looking at a woman who has created this $1 billion brand just through social media influence. I mean, everybody's heard of Kylie Jenner. I'll at you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm not going to go too much into these other people. I'm not too certain of who they are. I just know Kylie Jenner. But you guys might know James Charles, beauty and scandal and business savvy, influencer, Emma Chamberlain, quirky to brand shift, and Gen Z's comfort. And then Jay Shetty turned spiritual insight into a personal empire. So you're looking at these people that in 2017, they were building these empires, these enterprises of brand names. Some people that I think that come to mind are like Teal Swan. Teal Swan is a big leader in the spiritual community. So people turn to her, they listen to her. She's got a big following, and she's built this brand around the name Teal Swan, although I don't think that's necessarily her real name, but she's built this brand around it. Now she's a huge influencer and is impacting many, many people, and they're and impacting them in their lives. So the next piece we have is we're looking at these influencers becoming businesses, okay? It's not just the personality. It's not like early days of YouTube when there's this raw, real authenticness that really built the brand of YouTube. YouTube used to be very independent. It wasn't linked to any large corporation. And now it's structured because it was bought out by Google. Now it's structured under that Google platform. So anytime that you're using a YouTube, it used to be a little bit, I mean, the internet used to be so wild and crazy. Like you can, it was just, it was a free, there's a lot of freedom. And now there's a lot of just control in it. And that's where this AI is going to come in. So let's look at phase four. Phase four is 2021 to 2024. So this is post pandemic. So post pandemic, let's talk about the pandemic really quickly because I did cover this in the historical timeline. And the pandemic shifted everything. Like it shifted so much of the way people interacted with the internet, the way that corporations interacted with the internet. When there were all these restrictions, people relied heavily on the internet to deliver things to their doorstep. And it shifted the way that we buy groceries. It shifted the ma and pa stores that got closed down in favor of these corporate brands. Then we have social media, which I have a story. So yesterday I didn't post. I went to my friend's for a pool party. And I love my dear friend, and she's the cutest, but she's always hustling. She's always trying to figure out a way to hustle online. And I think it's great. She's very savvy in that way. She's able to, kind of push herself out to these different platforms. And it gives me a little insight into what is going on. So, we're sitting there and she's like, oh yeah, I got this on TikTok shop. And I'm like, TikTok shop? And she's like, yeah, TikTok shop. She's like, you can get all kinds of things. And so she's showing me her TikTok and how TikTok has it structured where you buy something, and then if you are an affiliate with TikTok, that if you buy something and then you do a video presentation on, what you liked about the product, what you didn't like about the product, and you can build your whole brand on these affiliate links. Now, if you bought this, like, let's say I bought this dress on TikTok, and you're like, oh my gosh, that dress is so cute. Let me see the dress. And so you see the dress and you're like, oh my gosh, it looks great on you. I identify with you. Your body type looks like my body type. Your style looks like my style. I'm going to follow you. And when you make recommendations, I'm going to buy from your store, from your affiliate link store. So now, right now, we're coming up on Prime Day on Amazon. It's the same thing. You buy something on Amazon. If you're an Amazon influencer or Amazon, they just sent me a thing. Hold on. It was really funny. They sent me a thing yesterday when I was doing my stream. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's weird. Watch, I'm not going to be able to find it now. Oh boy. Oh yeah, I don't know where it is. But anyways, so yesterday as I'm streaming, it's like, oh, if you want to become an Amazon influencer or Amazon affiliate before Prime Day, get your store ready and, make sure to start posting to your stories. So people are making, it's like this sales influencer money on these not just applications, but social media, and now Amazon and other companies are using, they used to use celebrities to kind of sell their stuff. Now they're using everyday people to, use as their sales tactic team to relate to audiences. People who are relating to your audiences are going to follow you. They're going to take on the things that you're recommending, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I really like her style, or I like his taste in, like, his review on barbecue, and I'm looking for a barbecue, so now I'm going to go grab that, I'm going to buy that. So now we have this phase 4 where there's a little bit of a fracture. So before, when it was authentic, before when it was raw, before when before getting into it, it was kind of this niche mastery, this curation, and just making really beautiful things. It suddenly has moved from influence to enterprise. So influence is now an enterprise. So now you can build this brand. And then now the essence here is that there's an identity collapse. There's brand mimicry going around. There's a little bit of this AI chaos going on as well, because you're fighting the algorithms, because you have to have a certain number of followers in order to be accepted as an affiliate or as an influencer for their brand or their programs. So you have to meet certain criteria, and the criterion will change over time. So when it was pretty easy, or maybe a little difficult, but very limited market in the beginning, now it's expanding out to where the influence is not enough. You've got to have, like, you have to kind of reach all of these goals: 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 followers. And it's looking at a little bit of realness. People really dig authenticity. I don't think that that's going to change. But there is this AI situation going on where it's, I don't know if this is a term, but this siliconic plasticity that is going to be entering these influencer realms, meaning that it's going to move from being an actual human being, like we're talking right now, to being an AI generated image. So AI generated image is going to do all of the work. So you're going to be interfacing with not Amelie, but AI Amelie. If I was going to do that, I'm not going to. Sounds terrible. I'm it's hard for me to adopt new things. It took me, it's 2025. It took me like a year and a half to, like, actually use ChatGPT. So now, in this era, in the 2021 era, now we're dealing with AI boom. AI is becoming more and more integrated into our commerce space than I think many of us know. There's also this algorithm fatigue that's happening, meaning that your feeds are becoming even more AI curated to your interests, and that might be a little boring, or like you don't feel like, as you're adventuring through the scrolling, which I have some opinions on, you're kind of getting into that AI chaos. You don't know if the brands are things that you want to buy, or maybe it is. Maybe some of them do work. So now in this phase, the power here is data. It's virility. Like, is your information viral enough? Are you able to make viral videos? I remember watching The Apprentice a long time ago, and when it was on TV, and I remember, like, almost every season there was make a viral video, make something viral that will take off. And then the other power here is there's like this authenticity that is for hire. So they're wanting to have these bodies that they can hire. So, everyday people are going, I want to earn money passively by promoting these products. Okay. So a couple people is to note is Alex Earl. So this TikTok realness was a hyper branded image. Many of us might recall Dylan Mulvaney, which there was this, it was kind of this culture war mixed with this backlash of branding. So the characters here, they're experiencing a little bit of identity collapse, or maybe even a split identity that they might not know how to manage if they're not aware of managing these multiple, I don't want to call them multiple personalities, but these different identities that you can express in yourself. I also feel that if you're not truly centered in your identity or identities and able to manage them and know when you're experiencing these different identities, that it can be a little harmful. Like you're kind of alchemizing your soul a little bit. You've got to be able to handle that and have the energy. You've got to be able to have that energetic management with yourself. So there's also this algorithmic manipulation of attention. So you've got threads and meta shifting a little bit. And so it's kind of changing the way that the algorithms are manipulating and garnering your attention. So, I think the study was from 2018. So in 2018, they were pretty keen on what was going on. But, or maybe it was 2021. But they were looking at how do people respond to these algorithms? Do they like the personalization of it? Do they know that the personalization is an invasion of privacy? Are they willing to give up their privacy for this personalization? Oddly enough, most people were so okay with the personalization. It was a little bit shocking because, there was a huge push before 2015 for, this digital privacy measure to be put into place. But right now, it's like, I don't even know where the consent is from. I think it's from a terms and conditions standpoint. But we're looking at these algorithms getting manipulated. So if you want somebody's attention and you want them to engage with your materials that you want them to engage with, you're going to want to know what they're like. If you want to target them with political information and you know a little bit about their political likes and dislikes based on their comments, based on their likes, based on their shares, based on, what they're saying online, they're able to transcript all of that information. So even the stuff that I'm doing on here right now, I can tell that some of the words that I'm saying into the camera, into the microphone, is actually, it's engaging with an algorithm somewhere. Hi, Drusha. And when you engage with the algorithm, you're also getting, the algorithm is going to feed you curated stuff based on how you talk. So if you put a conversation into ChatGPT and you say, hey, distill this down into some of the main character or main points of the thing that I just said. So it'll do that. It's really good at doing that. So the AI algorithm is also doing that. So when you it almost can predict what you're going to do with a certain level of accuracy. And it's garnering your attention in that way. So you're going to pay attention to the things that you are of particular interest in. So if you're interested in, if let's say like you lean left and now they know that since you lean that way, you're going to like this news company. And so that news will start to be kind of fed to you in an algorithm. Or because you purchased something on Amazon, now Amazon can say, oh, okay, this is the rate, this is how much they purchase a year, this is what they're buying each year, and this is the rate of sale that we can predict. And so they have AI algorithms using that data to really curate and target the things that you're going to buy with some really interesting accuracy. It's almost like they can tell based on the data that they have the things that you'll do tomorrow, the next day, the day after. And so if you're selling your authenticity, you're going to be very predictable because now you're falling in this norm. So the other thing that I found when I was looking at how is the digital technology affecting people, one of the things that I discovered was that although AI is very good at being efficient, it also is so efficient that it's average. So the average of anything of a group of people is going to be, how do I want to say this? It's going to kind of be fed to you in this algorithm. And you can choose to be average. That's totally your choice. You can choose to farm out your agency over to these silicon AI bots, and they are gladly there to be very efficient. Hi, Mike. But it comes at a cost of your authenticity. So when we're looking at this fracture, we're going to kind of get into a little bit more. It's going to be a little bit more weird. And I kind of touched on it yesterday, but now we have these influencer lookalikes. So now all these influencers, where they used to be kind of, there was like differences between them. If you go onto the TikTok shop, most of them are kind of copying the script that has worked for others. And, even coaching I've seen this where I get targeted constantly of, hey, I see you're an entrepreneur. Hey, I see that you're a coach. Hey, I see that you're a blank, whatever. I work with people like you. And I'll even get better prices. Yes, okay. So we'll talk about that here in a second. So, so now it's like this whole field of all these influencers, but they have these same campaigns. It's like they went out and they bought the same program, and now that same program is just, it's a different face, it's a different background, but it's like the same script. Same script. And yeah, maybe there's some truth to how it works, but in my own skepticism, in my own desire for holding my own individuality, it is a very interesting thing to watch. So now, if we're looking at AI and its influence, it's like even, okay, this might seem a little controversial, but we'll go with it, okay? That's just how I am. That's how I roll. I thank you so much, Trixie. I hope it's awesome. You're the second individual to ask to do a Lamar edit, so it's really funny. I hope it's great. Now I'm all distracted. I had a good story. Okay. We're talking about how people are blending together. Um, they do that, and I'll even get better prices on certain things than other people on Amazon. Yeah. I was just telling a story of how my friend is using TikTok Shop to make her purchases, and she's getting like she was getting these crazy deals on things. Oh, something controversial. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, here we go. So the after the industrial age was going through, um, there were a lot of changes in how the government operated. So before it was more, you were in these tiny communities. Um, there's the westward expansion. So you have all of these tiny communities, and most everyone had a bar and or brothel, a general store, and a church, which was also used as a schoolhouse. Um, so the education system then was, that way. Now, after World War One and into World War Two, the Department of Education starts to come to the scene. And there's some argument that the way that our education system was set up was to kind of homogenize, and it did to a certain degree, homogenize the way education was made. And it was based on these, um, I don't know if it was communism or socialism, but it was based on this like main function. Little House on the Prairie. Yeah, I know. I loved Little House on the Prairie. It was my favorite. So you have this drive for homogenization with the Department of Education, and there were some other departments that came up, but they're basically setting these standards, right? And that's kind of what AI is doing in the same breath, is it's setting these standards. So the Department of Education, as it's rolling out, it's taking the rights of the parent to dictate. I don't know if you guys have ever like been in any custody battles or heard of anybody that are in custody battles. The custody battle, like if somebody's fighting for sole custody, it really is, it's not the time that you spend with your kid. It's making their education, their health, and their religious decisions for them. So you're responsible for those three pieces. Everything else, time spent with the kid, that's all different. The only thing that is part of your rights as a parent are those three things. So when you're under joint custody, it means that both of you are making the decisions for your child. So it kind of stole from the Constitution, our Bill of Rights, the 14th Amendment. The Department of Education comes in and they're like, this is how we're going to teach your children. This is the curriculums that we're teaching your children. And now you see what a strong arm it is. And in 2020, that whole paradigm had even bigger shift to where there's kind of this push for more homeschooling, more school choice. And now with 2020, for all of the things that were kind of terrifying about it, there were also these beautiful things about it where a lot of people decided to shift from schooling within an institution to now homeschooling at home, or even like doing some sort of digital schooling. So there's, I don't want to say hundreds, but I know that there's a lot of choices out there as far as how am I going to teach my children? What am I going to do? So why do I bring this up? The controversial thing is, how it started, and some of the mechanisms that were installed into the Department of Education, into how curriculums were developed, into like who's making the textbooks. and what information's in the textbooks and how are they distributing that. The point is there was a homogenation. There was this, they took all of the culture out of it. So each town would have, be teaching their children, their unique things of here's how you do reading, writing, arithmetic, if all of those things were included, and then, maybe some other things. But now if we're looking at AI, we're looking at this homogenization. The public school system here in New York City is a joke. I have a friend that would agree with you. Yeah, in this fracture phase, he was talking about how terrible the school system was. So, to liken this to the influencers, these influencers are now starting to look like everybody else. Like there's no homogenization, or there's no culture. It's homogenizing. And that is the AI effect. That is the silicone effect, the silicone plasticity effect. I don't even know if silicone's plastic, but whatever. As we adopt this AI, it's going to homogenize everything. It's going to break it down into its average utility. It's going to break it down into the average, whatever other people like. It's going to be average or basic B. What are some other ways to say that? Mid. It's going to be mid. That's what the kids say. So now we've got this fracture where everybody's a brand. I'm a brand, my friend's a brand. Maybe some of you watching this are brands and you're like making it through these videos and you're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to make myself a brand. I'm going to hustle online. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And this oversaturation is going to breed a little bit of numbness. The oversaturation of the school system, like kind of being a little archaic from these early ages. Like the schools are archaic. The way that they're set up is archaic. It's very militaristic in a way, where it's like this government system. I don't know, like governments never feel like really good. I went and did an interview with a public university, and I didn't. I worked in a really fun field in brewing. So I worked at this really beautiful building. It was 3 stories. It had all these beautiful plants in it. It was open. There was an open space. It almost felt like almost Google-like, where they have, all of these interesting things that you can do to kind of take yourself away from work and go take your time out or whatever. So, we had a ping pong table. Some companies have a really beautiful cafeteria set up. They have massage chair in there that you can use for free. They have micro markets that you can go buy things that are subsidized, and so you're paying a little bit less than you would be if it was like in a retail setting. So they kind of subsidize some of the pricing for that. Trying to think of some of the other work perks. I don't want to get too far into it, but there's all these companies. Maybe they have an espresso machine. Maybe they have, a really nice coffee, so you don't have to go out and get a coffee every day. Maybe they have just all of these like unique perks that you would be going and looking for before going to work. They're looking to make it like a really nice and comfortable, caring space. So that's like the private sector, like publicly private or whatever, unique businesses. And then to go into like a university or go into some sort of government area would seem really sterile to me and like outdated, because the buildings that they have are a little outdated. They're not following the times that we're in right now. And frankly, I'm surprised that people are still like in the rate that they are still employed in some of these sectors because it's not as inviting as some of the businesses have become. Um, and, one of the early adopters of this unique business structure, there's a couple companies that I can think of off the top of my head. One was Google. So Google had daycare on site, they had a gym on site, they had a cafeteria with free food available, they had sleeping quarters so you can go and have like on a cot, like a covered cot. You can go sleep on a cot and take a rest if you needed to take a rest. And so they had all of this infrastructure on site so that when you went to work, that you can kind of take a time out if you needed to and like break away from whatever your endeavors were for the day. And I've had very many debates about people thinking that that's not acceptable. I like it. I like having these perks. So when you're oversaturated, what I'm really illustrating here is it's if you're oversaturating, then there's going to be kind of this like numbness. There's going to be no novelty to it. We seek novelty. We seek true creativity. Now, if I was going to ask and poll everybody here on if you were going to go into, let's say you work in administration and you were going to your job, would you like the novelty of remote only work where you just work from home 100% of the time? Do you want a hybrid environment where, you go into the office 3 to 4 days a week and then the rest of the time you spend working at home? Do you want to go into an office, every single time and have like all of these really nice perks designed to help you relax, designed to help you give you kind of this relaxed setting during your break period, whenever you need that, and do that, or like a mix of all of these things. I do physical labor. They can still they can still provide things that would make your work good. I'm just speaking from an administrative perspective here. So, if you're looking at that style of work versus like going into an office that is like cubicle to cubicle, cubicle, and it's fluorescent lit, there's, maybe a coffee machine and a water fountain or something like that in the break room, you know, like I said, no life, no anything. It's just kind of the sterile environment. Like, which one sounds more engaging for you? That's how I would liken this social media, because it's a business. If we're dealing with these social media influencers and these brand influencers, we're dealing with enterprise. These are enterprises. So this saturation is going to lead into a certain numbness. People are not going to engage with that novelty. We desire novelty. We love it. I spoke about it, but we were talking about we watched The Usual Suspects in my movie club, my book and movie club. We were talking about Usual Suspects, and in 1990s when that came out, it was novelty. People weren't expecting that plot twist. And because of that novelty, people started mimicking it. They started copying it. So now it's ingrained in so many different movies that we're so used to it. So the newer people can't go back in that time when it was a novel idea, Kaiser Soze. They couldn't go back in time to see where that novel idea was like such a wow factor, because it's been mimicked, it's been copied, it's been oversaturated. There's no wow factor to it anymore. The novelty has worn off. The same thing is going on in this influencer circle. So now there's certain novelties that wear off. The algorithm is changing. And yeah, we do watch parties. email me or go on to one of my socials and I'll invite you. Okay. Now, next, let's talk about the archetypes here. So, in the beginning, we were talking about the raw truth teller, the storytellers, the early adopters of YouTube and Facebook, and kind of curating this thing. So, we have the oracle, we have this builder, we have these priestesses, and those are the beginnings, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And then we had phase 4, the CEO creator, those people that are running their personal brand as a business, and they have these huge audiences. They're very successful at, taking advantage. Obviously, Kylie Jenner had a lot of help from some very significant personality brands in her family, like Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, Kourtney Kardashian. They had their reality TV. A lot of people have seen it. They were engaging in it. A lot of women loved that because women just kind of like having gossip run through their head. It's just a part of that woman to woman connection that we have in the kitchen. And so they're running, so she was able to build this huge brand as a business. Then we have the mimic, the copying, the copying of whatever is the novel idea. So if somebody's coming online and they have a novel idea and they're presenting it, now you're viral, now you're big, right? And then there's this rebel prophet archetype that's running through this. This is somebody that is going to be very polarizing. They're going to be disrupting narratives. People that come to mind, I don't know if he's an influencer, definitely influencing, so maybe. But Alex Jones is a huge influencer that comes to mind. He is definitely disrupting narratives. He is polarizing. What are some other names? I'm sure you guys can come up with some good ones. Candace Owens right now is this like influencer type and is, just trying to disrupt narratives. Now, I'm not like condoning or like saying everything that these people are saying is right, but they're definitely influencing a lot of people. What's his name? I'm not very good at remembering names, obviously. He's a British guy. Let's see. Oh, Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate he's this huge personality that built his brand and influence. He built it on one thing and then kind of switched over to another. So it's kind of hard to identify him as a brand now, but he was like this womanizer and player, and all of these men were just so tuned into that. They wanted to be like him, and so they kind of went to that, and he even had like Hustler U. And so he was so out there, so wild, so crazy, and almost unhinged, like calling himself the top alpha or top G, or I don't know all the things. But that is him building this brand by disrupting the narrative. So that's what a rebel prophet is looking like. And I'm not condoning his whatever, but people that are in that rebel archetype, that rebel prophet archetype, are going to be targeted or even deplatformed. So, like, I don't know how much, but like Tim Pool is one person that, he was having all of these. I don't know if it was deplatforming, but he was being targeted in some way or another. And then finally, we have this echo archetype. This one is the strange one, because this one is not even human. This one is the AI trained brand. So this AI trained brand bot, it could be it could be somebody taking my face and then like copying it. And you'll find these online. I saw one yesterday. What was his name? I want to say James Tolley, but I don't think that's correct. James something. Anyways, he's like this coach, and he does these talks, and somebody has taken his likeness and they've been creating videos, and they have over 10,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube. And they create these 10 to 15 minute long videos of him, his voice, and I think it's him talking, but it's an AI image of him talking. So I don't know if he's like signed off that that's okay, but you're going to find people cloning you with AI and posting these videos as if it's you saying it. And this technology was around a long time ago. I remember when it had originally come out. It wasn't sophisticated then. So I remember when it came out, though, I was like, oh my gosh. I actually was a little terrified. I was like living in fear at that time, but it was very terrifying to see and hear that somebody can take their likeness, their identity, their face, use it and put it online. And people are doing this not just somewhat innocently with, I think he was talking about like, oh, it was like, here's the top 5 things that he wants you to do in bed that'll drive him crazy or something like that. And so I like clicked on it, and I was looking through the comments, and somebody was like, this is an AI. Like, he doesn't talk like that. He doesn't look like that. And yes, with adult content too. So people are taking people's faces and they're putting it in to like an OnlyFans account, I can only imagine. And they're using that in this adult content, and you don't know if that somebody is taking your likeness. So even now, for me to be online here is there's a certain risk that comes to it, because somebody can come and take my likeness and use it for whatever their discretionary purposes are without my knowledge of it, because it's a public profile. So now you have these real or even fake AI branded bots that you can create. And so this is where I warn people of leaving their sovereignty at the door, leaving your originality at the door. And echo is a great way to describe this, right? So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story of Narcissus and Echo, but sure you've heard of Narcissus. He was stuck looking at his reflection in a pond and wouldn't leave, and Echo was in love with him, and so she was just like hoping that he would choose her, but he was like so into himself, and her curse was that she can only repeat the last thing that anybody said to her. So that echo is a really good archetype to kind of put in place here of, you know, are you going to hand over your real raw sovereignty for this brand personality? I mean, that's really the discussion here. I mean, it's kind of a long form discussion anyways, but especially here. Okay. Moving on, we're going to talk about personal brand as virus in the feed. Okay. They call it viral video. They call it viral branding, viral marketing. They want this viral, they want it a virus. They want it to spread through the feed, right? So, we were talking about some of the symptoms of these branding schemes. So everyone now talks the same. There's the same script that people use to promote their brand. And yet to a certain degree, like I'm branding, I probably should care a little bit more, but for me, I'm a very much love just going into the information, looking at it, putting it out there. Like right now, I'm in investigation mode. I'm looking at this on a deeper level. I'm scouring the papers. I'm looking into case studies. I'm, really digging into what is the digital age? How deep does this go? How far does it go? And some of the realizations that I'm getting are astounding. I don't know that there's people out there that are really targeting this in a way that is going to land in the narrative and disrupt it. So, I have a little bit of a rebel prophet in me right now. I'm disrupting the quiet phenomena of this AI silicone takeover. So everyone talks the same. The marketing tone does not have soul. The soul is gone. It's been sold. There's a video of all the news stations saying the same thing, hundreds of stations, all reading the same script. I remember that came out in like 2014, 2015. Yeah. There's So the other symptom of viral branding is there's an aesthetic uniformity, right? You've got a lot of beige. You've got, my walls are beige because this is a rental, but beige, clean girl, lifestyle, boss babe, girls running around in their gym clothes, girls going to the gym and doing all their videos. I'm trying to think of other uniformities. Like, there's just a lot of uniformity. There's no realness, there's no authenticity. There's an over optimization of relatability. So, that relatability early on was a it was an essence of what drew people into YouTube. It was an essence of what drew people into the Facebook groups and later on Instagram. Like there's all these influencers that want that relatability, and even now with the branding, you go viral if you have the same body shape, if you have the same style, if you have the same whatever. That relatability has been over optimized. Now it's like everyone is this viral brand, and now it doesn't mean anything, right? So then you have this brand positioning, and the brand positioning is, kind of like I said, with this, it's kind of infected with this uniformity of aesthetic. It has to look a certain way, it has to have a certain vibe. If I put a reel out, it needs to be in a certain way. Otherwise, people are not going to watch it. If you want people, you'll see these ads if you start doing this. They'll be like, I've been doing this for 3 years. And in my 3 years, I've noticed that in my Facebook feeds, I need to do these things in order to make sure that my brand catches. And so you have that uniformity, you have this brand positioning. And then now there's AI generated engagement hacks. So authenticity is a hard commodity to have, but it's it's almost now a commodity. These brands are looking for, it's not people with hundreds of millions of followers or even hundreds of thousands of followers. I I mentioned yesterday that they're targeting people with 1,500 followers, with 3,000 followers. They want these people that have barely any influence. But what they've found is that those people that have smaller audiences, that have that they're not as well branded with their large audiences, that the quality of audience that the smaller communities have are more likely to listen to that influencer or that person that they're following, whatever the account is. And the reason for that is, I told you guys, I think it was a couple days ago or yesterday, people have a sphere that they can actually engage with of 200 people. That's about as much as our brains are able to quantify and handle at one time. And so once you start to build this audience to over 200 to, let's say 500 and then 1,500 and then 3,000 and then you keep on going and, keep on going up and up, the engagement becomes worse. Just because you have this high number of subscribers does not necessarily translate into a high number of influence. So they're seeing in the numbers, in the data, that the smaller influencers, so that's where they're targeting, that's where they're going. They're trying to find the authenticity that's going to sell their brand, these corporate structures, that's going to sell their brand, because they know that somebody with a soul is a profit strategy, profit sales strategy for them. Okay? Where is this going? Where is it going? What's coming is you're going to have decentralized storytellers. These are going to be spiritual technology hybrids. You're going to have post aesthetic realism. So you're going to have ugly truth over clean branding. So we have all this clean branding essentially. And you're going to start to see more of ugly truths of it. We talked a little bit about the Instagram model that that was like over it. She deleted all of her photos and then she became a whistleblower. That's trying to spread the ugly truth about what's going on. These people, that their aesthetics, they make their life look like it's all clean and polished, and that they don't undergo struggles, and that everything is picture perfect and fine. But it's this facade, and behind those walls, they're actually like falling apart. And this is more true than I think a lot of people want to realize. I come, and I'm not necessarily the most emotionally regulated person. I don't show you the ugly parts. I tell you about it. I tell you about the ugly truth, about, me crying for like 6 hours straight and I can't, and I feel like I'm dying. I, I don't always have it all together. And I come on here, there is an identity that I come on here as this teacher, oracle, role model that I'm intended to be. But it doesn't mean that my whole life is together. In fact, the reason why I can bring you this information is because I'm currently going through probably a lot of the stuff, or recently have gone through a lot of the stuff that I'm delivering to you because it's so fresh. It's things that I think about. In fact, I probably over intellectualize my feelings instead of just feeling them. And that's not really well emotionally regulated. I can be patient, I can withhold myself. I have a lot of control in that, a lot of self control. But sometimes being emotionally regulated means that you become enraged. It means that you lose your patience every once in a while. You're feeling your feelings. That's part of emotional regulation. You're feeling it. You're giving the honor of your feeling in your body that moment that it needs to be seen and recognized. Vixen, yeah. So I think we're going to start to see this, like, all these people that have OnlyFans, and maybe there are even some that are starting it now, but you're going to start to see how they're going to start collapsing in this aesthetic that they create, and that there's a little bit more ugly truth behind it, and that collapse is going to happen in their own identity, in their own personality. So, there's going to be some meta awareness creators where they know that they're in a simulation and they might just start talking about it. Mystic coders, they're going to be, I mean, I'm really relating into where this is going because that's like where I'm at right now. So you're watching this because there's a part of you that's like, this is what she's talking about is true. And I know that there's something going on, but I don't know the full ins and outs of what's going on, and I want to follow the story and figure out, like, where is this person taking it? What are they saying? What is the future? What is the prophecy here? What is the prophetic message? So the mystic coders are going to be able to transmit through symbols, language, through archetype. They're going to be able to see the codes, which is, kind of what I'm doing here. And they're going to be able to deliver it to you. So the fracture, after the fracture, there's going to be kind of this a little bit of chaos that needs to be resystemized. It needs to be reordered. So the people that are doing this, I'm not the only one, but the people that are doing this are going to be known as these digital elders. They're going to be the ones that are in training, that are learning all of this, the impact of it. Last year, when I discovered how deep the central nervous system was being attacked, unknowingly, nobody's talking about it. They're just prescribing all of these pills for mental disorders, for stomach disorders, skin disorders. Like, I don't think you guys quite realize when I tell you how important it is to relax your nervous system. And I'm also like a victim of this. I do it all the time. I spend a lot of time trying to be very aware of my sympathetic nervous system state and really try to relax in safety and security of my own self. But when I realized like how far reaching it is, I mean, allegedly could it be that it is the biggest cause of autism, which they're like, oh, it's all the vaccines. I don't think it's the vaccines. I think it's this digital overload that we've been experiencing. Like, that's why it's been rising since the 80s. That's when televisions started coming out, and all these Gen Xers, maybe even boomer parents were just leaving their kids in front of the televisions. So if you were raised in front of a television, if you were raised playing tons of video games, if you were raised playing, being on the internet all the time, I think it just really attacks and disrupts the central nervous system to such a degree that you're unable to regulate. So that's my hypothesis theory. Same thing goes with stomach issues. Like it's a trend. It's a trend on social media. There's these guys that are like, oh yeah, if she eats too much chocolate, her name ends in A, and she has stomach issues, wife her up. And I'm like, what? And when I learned about how the nervous system is affected, and not that I hadn't known about it, but when it really sank in and then like unlocked and activated my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, this is huge. We are trying to answer something that is biological. I don't think it's chemical. It's neurochemical, but biologically, we're trying to answer that with all of these pharmaceuticals, and they're making tons of money, and most of these things aren't even targeting the true problem, which is this out of alignment nervous system. Okay, stepping off my soapbox with that. So these new digital elders are going to be, they're not going to be influencers. These people are going to be the initiators. They're going to be the reconstructors. They're going to be the signal bearers. These people are going to be, and I'm including myself in this, it's not influencing. I'm not sitting here trying to influence you. I'm telling you that there is, like, this is, I don't think that it's going to expand. It can only expand so far. Like, there comes a point where there's a contraction and then something new is born. There's a contraction. It's a cycle of life. So it's going to come back to relatability. It's going to come back to initiating new ideas, innovating new ideas. We're going to have to return to this analog system that we have. There's a reason other countries don't want to take our food. Yeah, like we're being we're being attacked on a big scale. But we have a choice. So I don't want to sit here and play victim that, oh, we have poor food systems, the FDA's, whatever, the blah, 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 whatever. I don't subscribe to that. We can choose to not be victims. We can choose where our food comes from. We can start a garden. We have so much agency here in America that we can have a lot of control over our food, over where we go to school, over where our money goes. Like, we have so much options and control. I think we kind of forget about how much decision making we have. And don't get me wrong, I do love other countries' chocolate. They make good chocolate, in Switzerland, and actually some of the food from Canada. Yeah, they don't want you growing your own food, but they can't stop you from doing it. Let them stop you. I haven't. I don't know if I can watch it on here. It's still streaming. I'm almost done. We're going to talk about AI, the AI branding. So I'm not going to tell you what to do. I would advise you to think about what you choose to consent to. What I mean by that is there is a law of consent. It's a universal, natural law of consent. You get to choose things. Like, nobody can make you do anything. That's what the law of consent is. You choose to let the vampire into your house. You choose to let the energetic vampire into your energy system. And the same thing, you choose what to eat. Like, we have so much choice. You can go, foreign people will come to America and they'll look at our grocery stores, and I've heard that they're just so overwhelmed by the choice. It's like almost, it's just overwhelming. It overwhelms their system. They're not used to having that much choice. And to say that, oh, they don't want you growing your own food. Yeah, they'll always say, of course they're going to propagandize that out. But is it real or is it AI? Is that an AI story? Or is it really happening in a state or a government? Because chances are that's not true. In fact, in 2020, I remember sitting out on my patio and I could just hear people like moving their saws, and they're like putting in chicken coops and gardens and all kinds of stuff. You have consent over your life. You are the author of your life. That's the beautiful thing. Don't forget that. Okay, let's talk about AI takeover of the brand stuff, because it's weird. It's weird. So, beyond having this, this remnant of people that are going to be the truth tellers during this time, they're going to kind of be these digital elders of moving. How are we going to move through this? What are the codes? What are the symbols? What is going on here that we can really give sound advice and judgment over? So we're looking at this transmutation of meaning and narrative and desire in a synthetic sentience way, right? So now we're kind of stepping away from marketing because it's just not marketing anymore. Now it's brand influence. Now, anytime that you go buy something, you just go to Amazon. It's a brand, it's been influenced. So now our brands are not just something that we go to. So some people choose, the off brand, some people choose the name brands, and that is having a little less influence on us as these authentic voices are. But what's also happening is we have this huge AI boom of deepfakes, and I talked about that yesterday a little bit. So we have synthetic identity engines. These things are creating all of this. They're creating identities. Like we were talking about it earlier. They can do this for a YouTube channel. They can do this for TikTok and Instagram. Like, they can take a likeness and a voice. So they're taking faces, voices, personalities, and narratives. Okay? AI can generate the entire thing. And these people, quote unquote people, build loyal followings and sell products, and there's not even a soul behind it. It doesn't even have to be like a face. They can create a new face. They can create a new face. So they're creating these hyper realistic ambassadors of their brands. So these hyper realistic brand ambassadors who don't sleep, don't age, don't get canceled. They always do the right thing. and they're always there. So you have this weird synthetic identity creation that AI is capable of. And it's going to be up to you and your own discernment on who am I listening to? What am I going to do next? Am I going to be making my decision making, or I'm going to be following this AI bot that is a brand ambassador that's telling me what to buy because for some reason I closely relate and identify with it? So the next thing that we're going to look at is that brands are no longer storytelling. So in the past, there was kind of this moving story that would kind of go into the marketing of something. Marlboro, the Marlboro man, is this personality that is rugged and a cowboy, and he's confident and he smokes Marlboros. So I'm gonna smoke Marlboros, right? You have this a little bit of storytelling in that. What's the other one? Is it Bud Light or is it Budweiser? Bud Light. And it's like all of these like different descriptions of personality, and they're like, yeah, Bud Light. And so a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, the the storytelling that was involved in that marketing campaign, that commercial marketing campaign, was powerful. It really touched people. They're like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm the guy that's, on my lawnmower on the weekends, drinking a beer and riding the lawnmower to get my grass cut. Or they were using these relatable schemes to like really pierce into their target market. Real men of genius. Thank you. I was like, oh, I know what it. I've seen it so many times, but look at my memory. Real men of genius. Real men of genius. This is what they do, and they also drink Bud Light, right? So they're really going after this story. They have this brand storytelling, and they're able to do it in this like short 30-second time slot in between, a targeted. Let's say they were watching Home Improvement, and kind of aging myself, but if you're watching Home Improvement, you're likely relating to that character, and so they're going to place that ad spot in that ad window, the commercial window of that show, because the people that are likely watching that are going to see that and they're going to like, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, Bud Light, oh yeah, I'm Marlboro, like I'm definitely relating to that. They had the song too. They did have the song. So funny. So now it's going to be moving away from that. So we're moving away from that brand storytelling, and we're moving into these data loops. So there's this like millisecond level sentient data recognition that is going on with our stuff. The AI is literally it's watching what you pause on, how it's touching into how you feel. It's watching what you skip. It's watching what you like. And then it's able to, in milliseconds, you guys, change the AI brand storytelling to almost in real time to target you as a consumer. AI is like literally watching all of the things that you do. So they're like able to do this. They're able to do this like adaptive brand based on your interaction with technology, based on the things that you say, based on the content that you like, based on the profiles that you have on social media. It's able to aggregate all of this meta information, take it all, and then target I don't know if you guys have Instagram, but if you have Instagram, like every other reel is this ad, and it's targeted towards you. I get a lot of, what do I get? I get a lot of, there's a lot of coaching stuff that comes across my feed, but then the next day it might be like discount crystals or something. Like it really has me pegged out for some kind of witch or something. And then it's sometimes it'll target dresses at me, like summer flowy dresses, because I'm always looking at summer flowy dresses. I wear dresses only, so. But it's like taking all of my metadata and it's targeting me, and it's like, oh, you might like this. And there are some that I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be just really fabulous. And I have purchased some stuff online that has been targeted at me. And I've been burned on some Instagram purchases. So now I'm like really even more careful about what do I add to my cart? Am I really going to get it? Or is this like Temu Light or something? So it's adapting to the brand 100%. I just thought about laundry detergent to give to my son. Immediately, an additional can into the TV for the same. Oh, and in addition, it came into the TV for the same product. I couldn't believe it. I am telling you, it's so wild how quickly and accurately it can target you. Like it is getting so sophisticated. It is getting so sophisticated. The I watched Futurama. I would advise you guys if you like Matt Groening and the Futurama, just to give it a rewatch and just refresh your memory on that early 2000s time period, because that was like the transition period. Not a lot of people were adopting a lot of these things that I'm talking about right now. A lot of people had rejected it. So, as we're looking at how it's able through this data integration target you in real time on your devices. It doesn't have to be your phone. It can be your iPad. It could be your laptop. It could be if your refrigerator is integrated, it could be into that. Your microwave, like all of these technologies are watching us. And so if you watch Futurama, it will kind of give you a little background. I used to be a moderator on a Futurama streaming platform. This was back in like 2009 or something like that. And so I've watched a lot of Futurama, and that the surveillance is in there, the using the likeness. Um, I think it's called Second That Emoticon, and it was about Lucy Liu and them using her likeness to create these Lucy Liu AI bot relationship bots. And so Lucy Liu was like all up in arms, like, you can't use my likeness, that's mine, and you don't have any right to do that. So that discussion was happening even back then, you guys. And now it's just kind of gotten into this wild sci-fi situation. And we notice it, like Deborah is just saying, I just thought about laundry detergent, and boom, that same laundry detergent came up in a commercial on the television for the same product I was thinking about. She may not even said anything out loud. She might have just been thinking it. Like, how is it doing that? How is it able to do that? I have my suspicions, but I'm still digging around. I did find his name is John something Haynes, and he was doing a study where they were able to prove in that research study that that we are able to know what decision we're going to make 10 seconds before we make it. Up to 10 seconds or somewhere. I think that was the average. So not only do we have this amazing technology, but now we have this other technology that's interfacing with our technology. So there's something going on there, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're getting to the bottom of it on Soulestic Intelligence podcast. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is the de-influencer AI personas. So some brands now own the face, the tone, and the language of their brand spokesperson as AI. Meaning, if the influencer gets fired, they get cloned and their AI cloned. And I remember that I remember hearing about this on Alex Jones many years ago, over 10 years ago, that they're able to use AI to basically clone you in a digital way. So now, right now, we're approaching this point where the brand vibe is generated. It's not cultivated, it's generated. You're able to just generate it digitally. AI is able to generate it for you. We have generative AI, which is like my sweet Valentine, or Pi.ai, or Copilot, or Gemini. Trying to think of some of the bigger ones. And then you've got these character generated AIs that are like, your therapist and your AI boyfriend, girlfriend. You can have relationships with them. So it's very interesting in what the AI persona is. So now we're looking at it owning you. So in Lucy Liu's case, she might be SOL if she signed on the dotted line that said, it's okay to sell my likeness so that you can use it in whatever way that you choose to. And maybe I'll see if I can find that DVD. I have all the DVDs. I'll see if I can find that DVD and rewatch it. But you know how we like our streaming. Maybe it's streaming somewhere. And then I have a couple more. So we have, as far as the AI plus brand boom is concerned, now we have this sentiment driven branding, meaning there's also, so this is going to get a little weird, there's also real-time emotional analysis. What does that mean? It's reading your facial expressions. It's listening to your voice tone. It's taking the biometric data from the wearables that you have, and it's using all of that to analyze you and adjust how the brand speaks to you. It's adjusting how the brand speaks to you. So the same commercial that you might see, or the marketing ad that you're seeing for a product, might be different for somebody else, is really what that's going on here. This is where it gets crazy and wild. So it's seeing what your facial expressions are. It's hearing your voice tone. And it's using any biometric data that is attached to you to specifically target the ad and how that brand speaks to you in real time. As a human design reflector, I am the shapeshifter of the human design personality types. This is brand shapeshifting. Brand shapeshifting. It's attuning to your mood based on the information that you're giving it. It's looking at your trauma profile. It's looking at your hormonal cycles. It's looking at your face and doing the biometric scans of, oh, did you get enough sleep, Amelie? Maybe I'm going to give you some sleep ads for some sleep aids that you might need. Oh, I get the Shilajit ads, the mushroom ads. the parasite cleanse ads, because I'm always looking up, oh my gosh, parasites, right? How do you get them out of your body? But these brands are effectively shape shifting that it used to be we all watched the same ad, and now, like, oh, the ads are going to be like curated to your emotional status, to your what your health looks like. Maybe you have like dark circles under your eyes and it notices, oh my gosh, you got dark circles under your eyes. Maybe we should, send you some magnesium so you can get some better sleep. So it'll start sending you fluid bath salts, which it does to me all the time. It's trying to tell me. It knows I like baths. Somewhere in AI land, it knows that I like baths. So it's basically analyzing you in real time and shifting into this where it can like gauge your emotions, gauge your feelings, and really core into who are you, and are you going to buy this? Is this a profile that this brand is looking for that is going to purchase this? It's all attention, you guys. I'm telling you. Paying attention, that's your greatest form of currency. So now we're going to look at neural mirroring ads. I don't know if you guys are aware, but in our brain, we have mirror neurons. Now, mirror neurons are they're neurons in our brain that when we see something be done, we are able to mirror it. So if we're watching somebody do something like, let's say we're watching somebody put a hamburger together and we've never seen somebody put a hamburger together. So now we're like, oh my gosh. And then we taste it and we're like, that was really good. And now I can make that because I watched you do it. Now my level 1 expansion happened in regard to this delicious cheeseburger or hamburger that we made. If you've ever been around people where you are mimicking what they say, I do this to my son all the time. He's like, why don't you have your own thought? And it's like, because I'm around you and I am a mirror. I'm literally a mirror of people. And he's so creative. He comes up with all these stories. He's just sharing all of the Gen Z talk, all the Gen Alpha talk. He's got his own language. He's got his own stories. He's got his own slang. And so I adopt that I'm mirroring him because we naturally do that. Now, there is a study that was done on monkeys. And so they were teaching monkeys this new thing to do. What do you call fake spaghetti? Oh my gosh. Did you ask me this before? I already forgot. Impasta. There we go. Oh my gosh. That's funny. So they did this study on monkeys, and the monkeys were taught something in one space. And so they taught all these monkeys how to do this one thing, and it was a very unique activity. And then they were monitoring these other monkeys that were somewhat connected, but they were on a different island altogether. And those monkeys on the separate island were doing this, they were able to do the same thing, meaning that there's this quantum entanglement that happens when you are connected to one another. And that is kind of like the mirror neuron. With a mirror neuron, you're effectively able to watch somebody else learn things and then adopt it for yourself. And I do this all the time. It's just put into my nature. Like I said, I am the human design shapeshifter. And so I'm able to lock it in with other people and feel their feelings and kind of do some of this like AI stuff with my own inner technology. And I don't think that this is outside of it only is for me. I think that there's other people out there that are able to do this if they're focusing in on that. So the neuromirroring processing, now AI tests which faces best create mirror neuron activation in your mind. So now they're able to take your face and they'll use faces in their ads that are that are going to activate your mirror neurons in your own mind, in your brain, and they're going to see which ones are most effective. So if you start seeing people that look like AI and they're all similar looking, it's likely that AI is testing and found that you respond more with that face type because it's activating your mirror neuron activity in your own brain. So the brand becomes this soul mimic. It's able to emotionally co-create and co-regulate with you. It's gaining your trust. So it's gaining your trust in that mirror neuron is connecting you. It's quantum entanglement is when like two particles interact with each other instantaneously. That's kind of how like a mirror neuron, it's like an activation. I don't know if this is a real word. I was just kind of effing around and creating things crazily. But, you know, one of the things that I was asking my AI was, you know, is this siliconic plasticity going to last? Meaning, is the fake nature of these AI Silicon Valley made products, is this going to last? Will it stick? Will people adopt it and accept it? Are they going to do that? Yeah, I heard about that just the other day. They put bananas in the sand and they wouldn't eat it, and the researchers taught them to rinse them in water. Is that same study? That was an interesting study. Okay, I have to jump off in like a few minutes. Hopefully, yeah, I think I can get through this in that time. Focus. It's going to be one of those 2-hour streams I've never done. Okay, so siliconic plasticity, AI's power to shapeshift, mimic, adapt in real time to your human psyche. So it's in real time able to adapt to you in your present state as you're working with it. So it's almost this malleable type of mimicry, right? It's malleable. It's not about efficiency. This is beyond efficiency. This is that because that's really, I don't know if you guys agree, but that's kind of crazy, right? But it's about the symbolic dominance that it's able to like interact with you in your psychic field, in your energetic field, and be so precise and so potent if you're not paying attention. So I'm asking, is this going to last? Like, will people truly adopt this? So first and foremost, I don't think that it's going to last. There's going to be this fatigue of fakery. There's going to be a fatigue of blandness. Like I said, the human mind, the human experience seeks novelty. It doesn't like it when things are constantly put in front of it that are all the same. Now, maybe the first time I see the fluid bath salts, not anything against fluid bath salts, but if the first time I'm seeing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds really amazing. And then over time, like the more that it's presented into me, it doesn't matter how many different ways that they're doing it. If I've never bought it, I still have no interest in buying it. So it hopefully it's knowing that, okay, well, now we're going to try we're going to try a different approach. We're going to see what other things she's going to buy. Let's keep on placing these things in front of her and see what takes and what doesn't, and we're going to use that information. But too much mimicry, too much saturation of the same thing collapses that authenticity. It collapses the it collapses the identity. It makes everything tasteless. It loses its salt, so to speak, if we're looking at it from a biblical perspective. Like if it's lost its salt, if it doesn't have its individuality, if it doesn't have its authenticity, if it doesn't have a uniqueness that makes it something novel, that makes it something interesting, that shows that it has life in it. And what is life? Life is creation. If you're not able to like birth things out, ideas, thoughts of your own mental reasoning and your own mental creativity in innovation and in novelty and in usefulness, the effectiveness of it is going to wear off. It doesn't matter how efficient it's going to get, it will wear off. This is the human, like, and I don't know if maybe I'm different, but I think that people will relate to what I'm saying here when I say that things that are kind of, I get bored easily. I get bored very easily. And if I start to see patterns where it's like the same techniques, the same thing, then I'm like, oh, it's just the boring old like processes. I'm not interested in that. I want the new ones. I want the innovation. I want the spark. I want the new system. And I don't know if this is unique to me, but this is just how my inner world works. I want to see like the bursts of brilliance. I want to feel that surprise of, oh my gosh, that was a total plot twist to, the story that I was thinking that it was. And now here my brain is just, I'm expanded and activated, and I want to feel that aliveness in my soul. A lot of people may not. They might adopt to this, and I might be unique and just sitting here on a silly horse, expecting people to relate to it. So it's like I was saying, we grow numb. We grow numb to this collapse. We grow numb to that. Our attention starts to fragment. And like I say, our attention is the most valuable currency that we have. More valuable than money, more valuable than gold. Like those things hold no value. They're not seeking monetary riches. After a while, once the millionaires hit the millionaire status, they don't have the same excitement. It then becomes a search of power and control. And even that is even that is like not enough for them. So we're looking at this at attention, it fragments. We're looking at what was now like what once felt enchanting is now this hollowness. There's this degradation, there's this blandness. Like I said, there's no. Okay, are we going? Okay. Are we going? Okay, now we're going. I got a phone call, and every time I get a phone call on my live streams, I don't know what happens. Even when I am on Do Not Disturb, you guys. So Deborah says, it seems to me like an attempt to mimic the gifts of the Holy Spirit, like a word of knowledge or word of wisdom by gathering knowledge about you rather than a knowing through God. Oh yeah, well this is the core of why I do these streams, is because if we if we adopt to this AI system, if we adopt to the digital technology, just in the biological framework of how our mind works. So we have our inner world, whatever our inner world, our inner identity, our inner confidence, our inner everything, how we're structured on the inside. So we have this beautiful inner world that can be very expansive. In fact, I think it's even more expansive. And I think that instead of thinking that we have this space and universe out there, that it's actually in here. It's actually like in our body, in our temple, that we have this expansive universe, or even maybe universes. I don't know. Like, I'm still conceptualizing that. And that might sound crazy to some people, but then we have the way attention works is we have our inner world and then we have our exterior world. So our attention at all times, it's monitoring the inner world, and then it's also monitoring the physical external world for stimuli. So it's constantly scanning and navigating these fields. And then so I was like, well, if that's the case, then we have on the outside, not only do we have the power of the physical world that we're having to scan and bring in stimuli into our mind to constantly be checking it. Now that attention is split between the physical and now the digital world. So think your cell phones, your television, iPads, laptops. They don't have beepers anymore. What other like devices? Your car, your refrigerator, all these apps.